Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into something that is literally our most precious, most finite asset. We're talking about time. We're going to unpack this classic story together, and I promise you it's going to completely reframe how you think about value, opportunity cost, and honestly, just the choices you and I make every single day.
So let's kick things off with a bit of a paradox. What is the price of the time inside a watch? It kind of sounds like a riddle, right? I mean, we are so incredibly used to valuing the watch itself. The metal, the fancy gears, the brand name on the dial. But to ask about the time inside it, it completely catches you off guard. And that exact paradox, that's the master key to unlocking a seriously powerful lesson about how we navigate our lives.
To really get the weight of that question, we need to look at a deeply relatable, very human problem: a father's worry. So imagine a small village where this father is just agonizing over his son. And hey, if you've ever worried about someone, maybe a friend or a family member who just couldn't seem to find their direction, you know exactly how high these emotional stakes feel. The father knew that time was this rapidly depleting resource, just slipping right through their fingers, and he desperately needed a way to make his son actually see that. Because, well, the son was lazy. He was careless. He had literally never worked a day in his life, and instead he just spent his days wandering around the village, completely aimless. We're looking at a life here totally devoid of purpose. And the dad, he knew a standard, boring lecture wasn't going to put a dent in this level of apathy. He needed something practical, a truly unforgettable demonstration to act as an intervention and teach his kid about the ultimate opportunity cost. So here's what he does. The father sets up this absolutely brilliant market experiment. He calls his son over, sits him down gently, and asks him to grab this old watch out of their cupboard. Then he gives him a super specific yet simple task. He says, "Take this watch down to the market. Ask everyone you meet how much they think it's worth." It's such a smart pedagogical move. He's literally sending his son out into the real world to gather hard data on how society assigns value to things. And the boy does exactly that. He heads out, and almost immediately he starts getting these very tangible, varying monetary offers. One person takes a look at the watch and says, "Yeah, that's worth 500 rupees. Someone else examines it and goes, "I'll give you 800. Another really confident buyer steps up and offers 1,000 rupees. Boom. The market had zero problem assigning a price tag to a physical object. So the boy runs home, excitedly reports these numbers to his dad, who just kind of smiles, nods, and tells him to put the watch back in the cupboard. But then, the very next day, the father changes the entire game. He hands the boy the exact same watch, but completely flips the script. He tells him, "Go back to the market, but this time, do not ask for the price of the watch. Ask people the price of the time inside this watch." Wow. He is forcing his son's mind to shift from a physical object, which we already proved has a clear market price, to the abstract, totally finite resource of time itself. So the boy obeys, but you can imagine how this goes, right? The social friction is intense. When he asks people about the price of the time inside the watch, they just laugh in his face. They look at him like he's crazy, tell him it's a foolish question, and bluntly tell him to just get lost. The narrative tension here is so thick. You can really feel how embarrassed and profoundly sad the boy is. He is getting utterly rejected by the market because the crowd, they simply cannot comprehend this abstract philosophical question.
Now feeling totally defeated, the boy is ready to give up. But he makes one last stop at a tiny shop where this old man is busy repairing watches. He gathers his courage and asks his seemingly foolish question one last time. And, instead of laughing, the old shopkeeper actually stops working. He looks up at the boy with this really kind smile. Because he gets it. He completely understands what the boy is really asking. And he shares this massive realization.
The old man looks right at him and softly says, "Son, you cannot put a price on time. You can give millions of rupees, but you cannot buy back even 1 second of your life." Just let that sink in for a second. He is totally stripping away the illusion of wealth here. He's making it crystal clear that time has an ultimate, unrecoverable cost. All the tangible wealth in the entire world, like all those rupees people offered for the metal watch yesterday, is completely 100% useless when you try to buy back the past. And the watchmaker maps this philosophy out so cleanly. It's basically a good news, bad news situation. The bad news? Time passes. It vanishes.
It is constantly slipping away from us, no matter what we do. But the incredibly empowering good news is that you actually get to choose how to spend it. This is exactly where this abstract idea transforms into a practical, everyday reality of resource allocation. It's all about waking up and recognizing our own agency in directing our lives. And here is the absolute most crucial point. Everyone in this world gets exactly 24 hours in a day. It is the great undeniable equalizer. The most remarkably rich billionaires and the desperately poor, everyone shares this exact same daily allowance. The only difference, the single defining factor that separates wandering aimlessly from living with purpose, is how you choose to allocate those 24 hours. And right there, the boy finally hears the lesson his father had been trying to teach him all along. The light bulb completely turns on. The boy gets it. He sprints home, thanks his dad, and what follows is an absolute transformation. Because he finally deeply understood the real value of every passing moment, he stopped wasting his days just wandering the village. He started working hard. He began using his time wisely, completely turning his life around just by internalizing the profound difference between a physical watch and the invisible, totally finite time that it measures. Which brings us right to the core of everything we've talked about today. Time is free for everyone, yes, but it is absolutely priceless. You cannot buy it, but man, you sure can use it. You cannot keep it, but you absolutely have to spend it. And once it's gone, it is gone forever. The father's incredibly clever experiment wasn't about teaching his kid basic economics, not at all. It was about waking his son up to the priceless, irreplaceable currency he was just carelessly throwing away. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a lingering question. How will you spend your next 24 hours? Think about it. You have the exact same account balance deposited into your life today as every single other person on Earth. Take a moment to really reflect on that and let it spark a fire to take some deliberate, purposeful action in your own routine starting right now. Thank you so much for joining me, and I seriously can't wait to explore our next topic with you.